At dinner, I found my husband with his mistress, so I pulled out a file that ruined them. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Your support means everything to us. Now to my story. Imagine building a life with the man you love. The long nights, the shared dreams, the sacrifices. Imagine believing you're a team, only to realize you were just a stepping stone on his way to someone else. That's what happened to me. My name is Amara, and I thought I had it all. I was married to Damilar Adebayo, one of Lagos's most admired businessmen. To the world, he was charming, brilliant, and generous. To me, he was my husband, the man I believed in, the man I supported through every failure and every victory. Together, we built his company from nothing. I handled operations quietly behind the scenes while he stood in the spotlight taking the applause. I didn't mind. I was proud. I thought our love was enough, but sometimes love blinds you to the truth. For months, I'd felt him slipping away. His late nights became routine, his laughter faded, and his phone, once open to me, now lived face down on every table. When I asked questions, he called me paranoid. "You're overthinking things, Amara," he'd say with that confident smile. You know how business is. And like a fool, I wanted to believe him until that night. Damilar was hosting a grand dinner at the Echo Royale Hotel to celebrate what he called a new partnership. He made me wear emerald green, his favorite color. The ballroom was breathtaking. Gold chandeliers, silver flatware, and every powerful name in Lagos gathered under one roof. I walked in beside him, my arm linked through his, pretending everything was perfect. But deep down, I felt uneasy. I noticed her the moment she entered. She wore a crimson dress that seemed to challenge the room to look away. Her name was Tola Bankole, a PR executive with a reputation that sparkled almost as much as her ambition. People whispered about her brilliance, her boldness, and her way with powerful men. I watched her glide across the floor, laughing, hugging, drawing attention like fire draws moths. And when her eyes met Damilar's, something inside me froze. It was a look I knew too well, the one he used to give me. For the first hour, I smiled. I shook hands, made small talk, and kept up appearances. I told myself I was imagining it. But when Damilar stood to make his toast, my doubts shattered. "Tonight," he said proudly, microphone in hand, "we celebrate not just our success, but a new era for Adebayo Technologies. I'm thrilled to announce our strategic partnership with Tola Bankole Communications. Together, we'll redefine innovation from Lagos to the world." The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. My husband smiled like the king of the world, and then he reached for Tola's hand. She stood gracefully, that red dress catching every flash of light, and joined him at the center. Their hands lingered longer than necessary. When she leaned toward him, whispering something into his ear, he laughed. That deep, familiar laugh that used to belong to me. The entire room saw it. And so did I. I felt my chest tighten, but I didn't move. I just smiled faintly, nodding when guests looked my way. Inside, though, something was breaking. Quietly, elegantly, like glass under silk. Later, when the speeches were done and the dinner began, Tola made her way toward me. She moved like a woman who thought she'd already won. Her perfume arrived before she did. Bold, expensive, suffocating. "You must be so proud of Damilar," she said sweetly, resting one manicured hand on my chair. "He's such a visionary." I turned to her and smiled. "He is," I said calmly. "But vision means nothing without loyalty." Her eyes flickered just for a second before she regained her smile. "You're such an inspiration, Amara. I hope one day I can be like you." "You already are," I replied softly. "You've learned to take what doesn't belong to you." Her smile tightened, but she said nothing. She simply turned away, heading back to the man who had once been my world. From across the table, I watched them whisper, laugh, touch hands under the linen. Every gesture felt like a knife, but I stayed still. Because sometimes silence cuts deeper than words. When Damilar excused himself halfway through the evening, saying he needed to check on something, I followed. Not immediately, and I waited. I counted to 30, then walked quietly toward the back corridor. My heels clicked softly on the marble as I approached a door marked private. I shouldn't have gone in. But I did. Inside, golden light filled a small lounge. And there they were. Tola's back was against the wall. Damilar's hand rested on her waist. Their voices were low, intimate, dangerous. She bought it, Tola said, laughing softly. Your wife still thinks this is just business, he chuckled. Amara will never suspect a thing. By the time she finds out, I'll have full control of the company shares. And me? She whispered. You'll have everything, he said. You'll have me, I didn't gasp. I didn't move. I just watched, long enough to burn the image into my memory. Then I turned around and left. That was the moment I stopped being his wife. Back at the table, I looked him straight in the eye when he returned. Is everything all right? I asked gently. Perfect, he said. You? I smiled. Never better. He didn't know it yet, but he had just created his own destruction. That night, when the party ended and everyone left, I didn't cry. I didn't confront him. I just watched him sleep beside me, the man who thought he had outsmarted me. Then I went to my study, opened my laptop, and started digging. Every password, every account, every email. I had access to them all. He had trusted me once, and that trust would now be my weapon. By sunrise, I had everything I needed. Evidence of offshore transfers. Emails between him and Tola about the fake partnership. Plans to transfer my shares into a shell company. Every lie neatly recorded, every betrayal documented. I organized it all into one folder on my desktop. I called it The Dinner, because that was the night everything changed, and as I watched the first light of morning spill across the city skyline, I realized something profound. Damalaire and Tola had taken my love, my loyalty, my peace. But they had given me something far more powerful in return. Purpose. And with that purpose, I was going to end them both. When people betray you, they never expect you to stay calm. They expect tears, chaos, confrontation, something they can twist to make you look unstable. But I refused to give Damalaire and Tola that satisfaction. My silence was their countdown. Every smile I gave him after that night was another second closer to the explosion he never saw coming. Damalaire and I were once the definition of Lagos power couple, the kind people used as examples at business summits. We started out of biotechnologies from a small apartment in Surulere, with nothing but a laptop, cheap coffee, and too much faith. I was the strategist. He was the salesman. I handled the contracts, negotiations, and investors, while he took the spotlight. For years, I believed we were building something beautiful together, until I learned he'd been building an escape plan behind my back. I found out at a dinner that was supposed to celebrate our 10th anniversary. He said it was a networking dinner, but when I walked into that restaurant, I saw his hand resting comfortably over Tola's, his so-called PR consultant. That moment changed everything. Her laugh echoed through the room, sharp and sweet, as she leaned into him. They didn't even notice me at first. When they did, Damalaire froze. Tola smirked, her crimson lips curving in slow triumph. Oh, she said lightly. You must be Amara. I've heard so much about you. She said it like I was a guest in my own marriage. I didn't respond. I just looked at her hand on his and then at him. He stammered something about work, but I could smell the lie. Expensive perfume and betrayal always have the same scent. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I went home, poured myself a glass of wine, and opened my laptop. If they wanted a war, I'd bring one, quietly, elegantly, and fatally. For 3 weeks, I played the perfect wife. I still cooked breakfast. I still kissed him goodbye. I still attended his meetings, smiled for photographs, and nodded at investors. But while he chased his new life in secret, I was building his ending in plain sight. The folder on my computer, The Dinner, grew thicker each day. Financial statements, hidden transactions, insider emails, voice notes. Every secret he tried to bury, I unearthed. I didn't need a lawyer yet. I needed leverage, and I had plenty. Tola, too, was getting bold. She started calling my phone by mistake. Her messages were laced with subtle mockery, pretending to be polite, but always leaving hints of what she had taken from me. You and Damalaire built something beautiful, one text read. I promise I'll take good care of it. I didn't reply. I just screenshotted every message and added it to my file. But karma moves best when it's planned like business. One evening, while Damalaire was out, I sat alone in our study and called my lawyer, a discreet woman named Kioma who had seen enough broken marriages to recognize quiet rage. I need a clean exit, I told her. And I want it to hurt. She didn't ask questions. Send me the file, she said. I'll handle the rest. By the following week, every move was in place. I had transferred my shares to a trust under my name only. The apartment in Ikoyi that Damilare thought was jointly owned was now legally mine. I even made copies of his offshore documents and handed them to a journalist friend, under a pseudonym. It wasn't revenge yet. It was preparation. Then came the opportunity I'd been waiting for. Another dinner. This time, Damilare was hosting international investors to announce a new expansion of the company. I knew Tola would be there. She couldn't resist showing off what she thought she'd stolen. That morning, as I dressed in a sleek black gown, I looked at my reflection and whispered, "Tonight, Amara, you take it all back." The ballroom shimmered with gold light and false laughter. Everything screamed success. The orchestra, the champagne, the clink of diamonds. Damilare stood center stage, glowing with pride, his arm loosely draped around Tola. She wore a red dress so tight it looked like it was sewn from arrogance itself. I arrived late. Let them notice. Let them wonder. When our eyes met across the room, Damilare smiled nervously, unsure whether to approach. I gave him a look that said, "Go ahead. Pretend we're fine." I waited until halfway through dinner, until the music softened and the attention turned to the stage, before making my move. Damilare was about to begin his speech when I stood up slowly, my heels echoing against the marble floor. The chatter died instantly. "Before my husband continues," I said with a polite smile, "I'd like to say a few words." He looked surprised but didn't object. He probably thought I was about to praise him. Poor man, I took the microphone. "I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. You've all supported Adebayo Technologies for years, and you deserve transparency. Which is why I'd like to share something my husband hasn't told you." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Damilare's jaw clenched. "Amara, this isn't—" I raised a hand. "Please, darling, let me finish." Then I turned to the projector. My lawyer had connected my laptop earlier, a precaution Damilare never questioned. I clicked play. The screen came alive with documents, bank statements, emails, transaction records. And then audio Tola's voice filled the room. She bought it. "Your wife still thinks this is just business." Then Damilare's laugh followed. "By the time she finds out, I'll have full control of the company shares." The silence that followed was suffocating. Forks froze midair. Glasses stopped clinking. All eyes turned to Damilare, whose face drained of color. He stammered, "This is ridiculous. Someone's fabricating things? Really?" I asked softly. "Then maybe you can explain this." Another click. A transfer record appeared on the screen. Damilare's signature authorizing the movement of my shares into a shell company linked to Tola. And beside it, a selfie of the two of them in his office time-stamped the same day. Gasps, murmurs, cameras flashing. Tola's face turned red. "Amara, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said. "You see, I may not be the face of the company, but I built it. Every strategy, every partnership, every client, I handled them while you were chasing the spotlight. And you," I turned to her, "decided to chase my husband instead." Damilare lunged forward, trying to grab the microphone, but security stepped in. "Mr. Adebayo," one said, "you're no longer authorized to speak on behalf of the board." He blinked. "What?" Chioma, my lawyer, stood from the crowd, her voice steady. "Effective immediately, Mrs. Amara Adebayo assumes full control of Adebayo Technologies. All filings are complete." The room erupted in whispers. Investors looked furious. Some quietly walked out. Others filmed. I turned back to Damilare. "This is what happens when you mistake grace for weakness," I said. "You thought I'd stay quiet forever. You thought you were the storm. But you forgot, I am the sky." Then I set the microphone down and walked away. Outside, the air was soft and quiet. Behind me, chaos unfolded, shouts, flashing lights, the sound of everything he loved collapsing. I didn't turn back. By morning, every headline in Nigeria carried his name. Tech mogul exposed by wife during gala, mistress involved in scandal. The board stripped him of his title. His accounts were frozen. Tola's PR firm lost every major client in 48 hours. She tried to call me once. I didn't answer. I sold my shares for double their value, withdrew every investment, and disappeared from Lagos's social scene. I bought a beach house in Ghana and watched the waves in peace. 2 months later, he called. "Please, Amara." I lost everything. I agreed to meet him. Curiosity, not pity. He looked nothing like the man I married. Thinner, dull-eyed, desperate. Amara, he whispered, voice cracking. I made a mistake. I miss you, I smiled. No, Damilar. You miss who you were when you were with me? He reached for my hand. I pulled it away. Tell Tola I said congratulations, I added. She got the man she wanted. I hope she enjoys the ruins. As I stood to leave, he said quietly, You're really walking away? I looked him straight in the eye. I already did. The night you forgot who helped you build your empire. Then I left. When I reached home, I opened my laptop, renamed the old folder The Dinner to the Freedom, and deleted it. I didn't need evidence anymore. I had peace. Because in the end, revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about rebuilding yourself so completely that their loss of you becomes their punishment. And that's exactly what I did. Some women cry after betrayal. I built an empire, smiled, and made them wish they never met me,